I've noticed that in the US culture, at least what I've experienced in the US, is that touching between friends isn't like super common. When I was living in Argentina, I would often see female friends like holding hands, walking down the street, or just like interlocking arms, and touch just seemed a lot less fetishized there and more common. And here it seems to be reserved for like a romantic partner, which in my experience I have found to be really toxic. If I have a strong need for physical touch and I'm only reserving that for one person, I'm super duper way more likely to stick around in relationships longer than I need to, because there's this like idea of scarcity. Like I can only get this touch from them and no one else, and so I'm stuck. Like I've felt that so many times in my life. The truth is, humans need touch. We literally just need it. Like after 20 minutes of snuggling with someone, you get these positive endorphins released in your body. It's a feedback loop. Your body's like, yes, this is great. We love this. Keep doing this. Don't stop. Humans need to cooperate in order to survive. So it's just one of those things that's programmed in us. It's a human thing that humans do, but then it gets socialized out of us, at least in some cultures. Like definitely in the Midwest where I grew up, and even in California where I'm living now, I don't really see it too often. There's this concept of toxic monogamy, and you can definitely be in a monogamous relationship and not have it be toxic. The idea of toxic monogamy is when 100% of your needs are placed on one single person, which is just like a disaster from the get-go, right? Because like the way that's structured, it's impossible for that to happen. There's only so much amount of time and energy that a single person has, and for them to fulfill every single one of your needs, it's just unrealistic. And in my experience, I've ended up getting resentful or just ended up not getting my needs met because the other person wasn't available. So these are things like, treating your partner like a therapist, or like maybe your only source of friendship and your lover. And I'm sure there's other things too, but for me, something I've really been working on is balancing out my sources of where I'm getting my needs from. So, like, say my romantic partner is unavailable. Okay, let me call up my friend who lives back home in St. Louis, and I'll call them for 20 minutes and just tell them about this rough day I was having, and I know someone's there to listen to me. Or maybe they're unavailable. Okay, so I'll call my friend who lives in Oakland, California, where I'm living now. Maybe they're not available. Okay, so let me call my friend. I just have a list that I go down. And in the past, I used to think that if I were to put every single need on one person, it's actually a form of intimacy, because then they get to see like this whole picture of me. It's so well-rounded. But actually through experience, I've learned that, as I mentioned, like I either won't get that need met because they don't have time, and then I'm like grumpy with them, or it actually creates a fight or something. Or my need isn't met, and so I'm just like not all the way there with them. I'm just stuck with that need getting unmet and going throughout my day not fully present. So it's actually like not a winning situation for me. On the other hand, calling multiple people to reach out to has kept me in like more intimate relationships with those people. So even if I only talk to a friend 20 minutes a week, if I do that every week, like all of a sudden I have this person who knows me and sees me, and that's like a really good feeling for me. And then if my partner is unavailable, maybe I can make plans with this person, it just works out. Another big thing I've been implementing in my life is sharing with my friends what I need, just in general. Like, hey dude, I know this might be kind of something different than you're used to, but something I really need is physical touch, whether it's hugging or whatever. Would this be something you're interested in exploring together? I actually had this conversation with a friend once, and he was like, oh yeah, that's great. Like, I would love to do that. And then he next week we're hanging out, he just like jumps on the couch where I'm sitting and snuggles me. And my mind was like, yes, wonderful, my needs are getting fulfilled. And then my body was like full of adrenaline and my hands were sweaty, and I was like, I don't know what to do right now. Because in my house where I grew up, like my family did barely even like touch each other. We barely hugged. So it's not something that I'm used to. There's this disconnect between like what I recognize I need and my body like catching up to understanding that. But luckily the more I do it, like the better it gets. And I'll even just share that with people. And so many people that I hang out with have told me the same thing. They're like, oh, thank God, me too. I've also been like really craving this, but I feel kind of nervous about it or something. And so then it opens up this whole new layer of intimacy because you can explore that together. It's such a beautiful thing. You're both able to get your needs met, and you're both like opening up in this vulnerable way to where like real connection can exist. And like the more honest and open you are, for example, if I'm like, oh, actually I'm like really uncomfortable, can we take a break? Getting my other need met, then I'm not like forcing my boundaries too far. I'm just expanding my comfort zone to where I'm growing and not like burning out or like feeling traumatized or something. I live with like 11 other people in this community right now. And we started hosting cuddle puddles once a week. So we have like an opening circle. We can say what we're comfortable with doing, what something we maybe don't want to do. And then we'll have a talk about consent, and then we'll have a closing circle. It really like creates a boundary for the space to where it's not just like a free-for-all and people are like touching all over each other. It's a really calm, slow, like really cute, sweet space, which personally for me has been really healing. So I'm curious, like, what are your needs? I personally have a list of them. I have a column for like physical needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs, any other needs. So like, what are your needs in relationships? And are you getting those needs met? And whether you are or are not getting those needs met, what's something that you'd like to change this week in the way you're structuring your relationships?